morning. My name is Tom Gamberton. I'm the Chief of Staff to Mayor McDermott, and it's a pleasure to have all of you here today on a very momentous occasion for the City of Hammond, as we announce a very major economic development project in this city. We have a number of individuals here this morning. I'm going to introduce all of them and then call on several of them to come up and give remarks. But first and foremost, I want to introduce Mayor Thomas McDermott Jr., Mayor of Hammond. Next to Mayor McDermott is Robert Felgenhauer, Vice President of Transportation and Distribution for Potash Corporation. Jim Roots, General Manager of Indiana Harbor Belt Railroad. Just over Jim's shoulder is Randy Palmatier, Business Manager. Phil Talon, Executive Director of Planning and Development. David Westland, Attorney for the Hammond Redevelopment Commission. Next to David is Jack Lynch, Senior Counsel for Potash Corporation. And in the last row where I would usually stand, we have Rick Hall, outside counsel for Potash Corporation from Barnes & Thornburg. And last but not least, Jason Wiggins, Manager with Ernst & Young. But this is a project that's been talked about for a long time. In fact, for the last 18 months, we've been in negotiations with Potash Corporation in bringing their operations to Hammond. And of course, the person who's led this push to bring potash to Hammond and to redevelop the central core of Hammond's industrial base is none other than Mayor Thomas McDermott Jr. And at this time, I'd like to ask him to come up and say a few words.
Coming out, everybody. I just want to congratulate the City of Hammond. We have a very happy announcement today. As Tom indicated, for the last 18 to 24 months, we've been in negotiation with Potash Company, which is, for those of you that don't know what Potash does, it's the world's largest fertilizer company. And they've agreed with the City of Hammond to build their largest distribution facility in Hammond, Indiana. So let's give them a big round of applause. The details are coming forth, and we have some additional speakers that are going to come up here and talk about it. I will tell you that this is a $78 million construction project. $78 million project in total. Construction costs alone are $64 million. $5 million in demolition and infrastructure that's going to be done in that area, as well as an additional $9 million that's going to be upgraded to the IHB and the Gibson Yards. Anybody that knows where Summer is, it's between Columbia and Indianapolis Boulevard. Summer is going to be completely renovated. And for those of you that are familiar with the City of Hammond, this is a part of the city that badly needs revitalization. And that's the thing about this project that's such a happy part of the project is we're taking a company, a world-class company, to our city, Hammond, Indiana, and putting it in a part of the city that badly needs reinvestment. It's just a great thing overall. Construction part of this project is going to create 285 jobs. Potash, the company itself, the building itself is going to create 225 jobs. At the end of the day, this facility is going to be 3 football fields long, I believe. The facility itself. The rail yard, you're going to see another 60 jobs created for the construction of the rail yards. When all is said and done, Potash is going to create 25 new jobs between them and the Indiana Harbor Belt. It's going to generate $3.2 million in taxes during the construction phase alone. And over the next 20 years, it'll create $16 million in additional tax revenue for the City of Hammond and for the state of Indiana. A lot of thank yous, a lot of hard work went into this agreement. I can tell you that for a while there, it looked like we weren't going to get it. I can tell you that it was intense. We were working against other municipalities from around the country. They picked Hammond, Indiana. That makes us feel very good. I can tell you that without working with our local labor, Northwest Indiana Building Trades, it would have been a lot more difficult. They conceded on a lot of different issues, as well as Potash. So I want to say thanks particularly to Randy Palmatier, the head of Northwest Indiana Building Trades. Labor costs turned out to be a big factor in this. It took us a long time to figure out what we're going to do, and I just want to thank everybody for working so hard. I'd like to also thank Bob Felgenhauer, the Vice President of Transportation from Potash. Thank you very much, Bob, for your leadership. Corporate Counsel, Jack Lynch. Thank you very much, Jack. And from the Indiana Harbor Belt, Jim Roots, the General Manager. Thank you very much. My economic development team worked tirelessly on this project, led by Tom Daverton, my Chief of Staff, Kevin Smith, Dave Westland, Phil Talon, Beth Jacobson, and from the Hammond Urban Enterprise Association, Pat Reardon. Give them a big round of applause. It's a tough economy, and a lot of people are fighting for jobs like the ones that are coming to Hammond, Indiana right now. So we had to get creative, we had to get aggressive, we had to work across the table, and it all worked out for the best for Hammond, Indiana. So congratulations, Hammond, Indiana. Thank you to Potash. We're looking forward to working with you.
In just a few minutes, we're going to have the mayor come back, along with Mr. Felgenhauer, to sign the actual development agreement, to mark this occasion. But at this time, I'd like to invite Bob Felgenhauer, as I said before, Vice President of Transportation and Distribution for Potash Corporation, to come up and say a few words.
Good morning. Potash Corp is pleased to work with the City of Hammond, Indiana, and announce the construction of our Hammond, Indiana Regional Distribution Center. This facility will complement our mine expansion plans and allow us to continue to grow in this important North American market. Potash Corp is about 2/3 of the way through a $7.5 billion mine expansion program. This program, occurring in Western Canada, will grow our potash capacity by millions of tons. As we started looking at all these additional tons coming on the marketplace, we also had to decide how we were going to get them to market more efficiently. As the world's largest fertilizer producer, logistics is critical to the success of our business. With that long supply chain from mines in Western Canada through the Chicago area and then on to a lot of our warehouses and customers in the eastern United States, we found a lot of delays, a lot of bottlenecks, and a lot of missed opportunities for both ourselves and our customers. So a couple years ago, we sat down with our North American railroad partners and collaborated to come up with a better way to get product to market. What we decided was we wanted to forward position material closer to our marketplace so that we could reduce the transit time when it came time to bring it to the customers in that important agricultural market. After an extensive search, working with a lot of different cities, working with the mayor and his team, we decided on Hammond, Indiana, because of its location, because of its access to the railroads, and because of its skilled labor force. And working with the IHB, we were able to put together a program that we can set up this distribution facility here in Hammond to where we can forward position that material to where we provide inventory protection for our customers and for our warehouses, and so we can reduce our transit time to half of what it used to be to get product to marketplace. We appreciate all the help of the mayor. We appreciate the help of his team. We appreciate the help of Jim Roots and the IHB to make this happen. We anticipate starting construction in the spring of 2012. We've got an 18 to 24 month completion for the building itself. The yard should be completed by the summer of next year. So again, we're pleased to be here and we look forward to being a part of the City of Hammond for a very long time. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite Jim Roots to come up. Jim is, of course, the general manager of the Indiana Harbor Belt Railroad. They also own the Gibson Yards area, which is, of course, going to be the centerpiece for industrial economic development for years to come. So, Jim?
Well, what started as a simple phone call about 2.5 years ago, I'd received, and a gentleman that was looking for 50 acres of vacant property in northwest Indiana or the Chicago area. The reason they were looking for this area was because of the rail infrastructure and the investments being made in the rail operation. We're the largest switching carrier in the United States, and we connect all the Class I railroads in the country. So for that reason, we started looking for a search. And I told this gentleman, I said, when he said, we're looking for 50 acres, I said, come on down. I said, we just cleared off 50 acres the property for environmental reasons the year before. So that started the process about 2.5 years ago. We've been hiring for the past year in preparation for this announcement. We've got new trainmen. We've hired about 120 new hire employees in our rail operations. And when you think about our total workforce is about 800. We've hired 120 this year. We're replacing retirees and attrition in preparation. We're also making significant investment in the rail yard. If you've been over Indianapolis Boulevard lately, you've seen a lot of work being performed underneath the bridge there. We're building a 1,000-car rail yard for potash. We expect to have that open by next June. We're also just recently expanded our auto facility where we handle and switch and dispatch finished vehicles. We expanded that by 30,000 feet of track here this summer. That was another $11 million investment. And the IHB, we set a record this year in capital investment of $30 million. We also set a record in the number of employees we've hired. So it's been a long, winding road. Jack and Bob and I have been working on this for quite a while, and it's very gratifying to stand here and to be here when the announcement was made, and we're very proud of it. And we're looking for future expansion as well. We've got a few other projects I think Phil may talk about moving forward here in the same general area. So, thank you very much.
We have two more speakers before the signing of the agreement. I'd like to call upon Randy Palmatier.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing today? Well, you guys got a great mayor here, I'll tell you that. Not only does Tom care about jobs in Northwest Indiana, he cares about jobs in the city of Hammond for his residents. And I have a document in front of me that pretty much states that local hiring ordinances will be used. And that was signed yesterday, so I'm very proud of that. I talked to Tom about making some comments. I'm not going to make any jabs, but some people down at the State House did say that people will not relocate to Indiana because of labor union aggression, I think was the exact quote. And we're not, what, we're right to work, right? No, we're not right to work. And we just have a corporation that located here. So let's get potash around. This cannot happen without Mayor Tom and his team, and I thank the city of Hammond and Mayor Tom. Thank you.
Last speaker, of course, is Phil Talon. Phil is the Executive Director of Hammond Planning and Development, and as the Mayor alluded to in his remarks, potash is the linchpin, the first piece of substantial development. As large as potash is, there's an additional $130 million worth of development that we expect to occur in the Gibson Yard area in the next few years. So Phil will describe that for you. Phil?
Since this project took almost 2 years to get to this point, I'm going to keep my comments short. We're excited today to make another economic development announcement for the City of Hammond. This year we have been fortunate to announce numerous new projects throughout the entire city, resulting in job retention, job creation, and new tax revenue. Through this project, we'll be expanding a redevelopment area that not only helped us finalize this initiative, but also will create additional economic development opportunities for other businesses to locate in this area. As Jim Roots talked about, IHB has already made substantial investments in the Gibson Yard, and with that, we will be identifying additional parcels in this zone to market to other companies to continue to bring more jobs and additional investment to the City of Hammond. With the investment that IHB has already made, and with the finalization of this potash project, it has been estimated that this redevelopment area should generate an additional $130 million in capital investments from the private sector through future development. The expansion of this area will also give us the opportunity to clean and clear other blighted industrial properties and create the possibility of turning non-productive, challenging industrial properties into tax-generating properties in the future. When all is said and done, with this collaboration between the City of Hammond, the Urban Enterprise Association, the IHB, and Potash, today's announcement is just the beginning of much more to come. Thank you.
At this time, we'll have the signing of the development agreement by Mayor McDermott and Mr. Feldman.
Congratulations, Hammond, Indiana. Thank you, Potash, for believing in the city. Mayor, thank you.
We have a number of members of the news media here. If you have not gotten a press packet, raise your hand. Pat Reardon has packets for you. We'll open it up for questions from the news media.
I have a question for the mayor. We kind of breezed through the numbers a little bit. As a total, how many jobs are we talking about? And can you explain a little bit about those local hiring ordinances and how it's going to be?
Well, to have the local hiring ordinance, I'm going to have one of the attorneys explain the particulars of that. But I can tell you that the construction part alone is $64 million. A lot of site work has to be done in this area because it's such an old area. The area between, I imagine Summer Street between Columbia and Indianapolis Boulevard will have to be redone, and that's a mile and a half at least, and that's going to cost quite a bit. And then we got to redo Hump Road and a lot of infrastructure there. And then the Gibson Yards have to have a lot of additional work done to them as well. That's another $9 million there. So we're estimating $80 million in that ballpark at the end of the day.
How many jobs?
Construction jobs alone, 285. Permanent jobs, 25. So, and the 25, the Potash jobs alone are what, 82,000 a year? 82,000 a year. So, any other questions?
Mary, you talked about how the process to lobby to bring Potash here was a difficult one. Could you elaborate on that?
I can tell you,
Challenges.
thank you for the question, it's a great question. I can tell you that in one in particular, we didn't know the exact city, but we knew where it was from. It was Wisconsin, which is a right-to-work state. It's anti-union as of late, and that made our job a lot more difficult because we're a union area, and we believe, I personally am a supporter of the labor unions, so we were competing against somebody with much cheaper labor costs, so we felt that we had to step up even more because of that, and we worked real closely with the building trades, and they had to bend a little bit as well, because Potash had some specialized jobs that needed to be Potash's people, so we had to work with the local building trades, and we were competing against states that were willing to basically throw cheap labor at us. So,
Any other Illinois towns too?
I'm not sure exactly. Potash is pretty good about keeping that hidden. I mean, that may be something that they may ask, but I can tell you that I knew the one out of Wisconsin, and that was the one that was scaring us. Because, most in Illinois are pretty much union friendly as well. So, any other questions? Any other questions?
Mr. Hagstrom, can you repeat those numbers and give us some idea of the scope of the TIF district, what that would be like?
Sure. At $16 million over 20 years, once this is permanently built, is what it's going to generate. During the construction phase alone, it's going to generate $3.2 million in local and state tax revenue during the construction phase for the next 2 years. And then once it's permanently built, it'll be $16 million generated over 20 years.
And what will be generated? Is that including what's generated for the TIF district, or is it just for the separate?
It'll be, well, for questions about that, Phil, why don't you come forward and talk about the TIF?
The TIF actually will be an expansion of an existing TIF. So through this project, as the mayor mentioned, we're projecting $16 million in revenue over the next 20 years. The base of the existing TIF that we have in place already will not be affected. That TIF, obviously will still be in place. But this particular project, $16 million over 20 years, and as I mentioned, the economic analysis of everything else that's going to come because of this project. Obviously, we can't give direct numbers, but we're excited about the potential.
Is the $16 million, though, is that TIF revenue or tax revenue flowing to the general budget?
That's taxes that are paid into the TIF.
Okay, so that's TIF revenue. Are there any additional tax revenues that will be flowing to the city?
At this time, I mean, the 16 million is the total of the taxes that will be paid.
Any other questions? Any other questions?
Maybe for Mr. Feldman?
Sure, sure.
I wanted to put this question to you, if you could step up to the.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I talk loud, so I may not need it.
So a lot of cities were buying for your business, what made you choose?
Well, Hammond, as I mentioned, you know, the location, Hammond, the access to the railroads. We were able to work with the mayor and his team and work with the IHB to structure a deal that we felt was best to grow our business. You know, there were several cities that we looked at. It boiled down really at the end to 4. And out of those 4, we felt that Hammond was the best choice. You know, we're really here to celebrate Hammond today, and those other cities are great communities with great support, and I don't really think it's fair to them to bring them in as the losers, kind of so to speak. I'd rather just celebrate Hammond and the fact that we're going to be here.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Elaborate a little more about your company and what it is you do.
Yeah, sure. We're the world's largest fertilizer producer by capacity. We're a Canadian company based out of Saskatchewan, Saskatchewan. We have potash mines in Canada. We've got 6 potash mines. We have nitrogen facilities located in the U.S. and in Trinidad. And then we have phosphate facilities located in North Carolina, Florida, and then we also have some feed plants. We manufacture fertilizer for use on farm fields all over the world. We also have an industrial segment that manufactures raw materials for things from carpets to ink to anything you can imagine. A feed division, a purified phosphate division that also manufactures preservatives. We're on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol POT, and then also on the Toronto Stock Exchange.
The facility itself here, will this be mainly for rail to truck transfers or rail to rail transfers?
Rail to rail transfers.
It'll be rail to rail transfers.
Yeah, we'll do some truck for the local area, but really what it was designed to do was that supply chain for us is quite lengthy. And when you start in Western Canada and you've got winter to deal with, it gets 40 below up there, and so things don't exactly operate all that well in 40 below. And so that transit time coming down through, you know, very unpredictable. And you know, we were running into situations where we weren't getting product to the customer on time. And so we wanted to be able to forward position that material. The other thing this does for us is, because we're making these expansions on the mine, some of our product goes offshore, some of it comes here into North America. But what it allows us to do is, by forward positioning that material, we can keep a steady flow moving away from the mine every month. So we'll have a steady flow of cars coming through, forward position it here in the warehouse, and then since it is an agricultural demand, it's primarily fall and spring. So that'll be there ready to load into cars, hit that demand in the fall and the spring. You know, we're growing, our market share is growing, and we feel like this operation is going to help us continue to grow.
Thanks.
Any other questions? No more questions?
Thanks.
Beth, step up a little bit.